Welcome back, and we're going to see the return of a friend that we haven't seen in a long time, the four-step method. So you might remember it's still the state, plan, solve, conclude setup, and so then here is just a reminder of the different components and what is needed. So state, state the question. Plan is articulating the tools and methods that you're going to use. So in our context here, since we're just learning about confidence intervals, it's going to be articulating, okay, we need to construct a confidence interval. To do that, we need to calculate the margin of error, and to calculate the margin of error, you need the population standard deviation, sample size, and alpha value, and you, I guess, overall still need the sample mean as well. Okay, but then also the assumptions here, that is where we need to hop back to those three conditions that we saw at the beginning. So we need to verify conditions 1, 2, and 3 before we go on to the solve step. So when you're asked about verifying assumptions, these three at the top are the ones that you need to satisfy. Okay, and then solve, we're going to solve it, solve the plan, or do what we're going to do, and then conclude. Make sure to conclude in context. So include that interpretation of confidence intervals. Okay, so this method is, I'm going to tailor it to our studies here with confidence intervals, but really and truthfully, we can use this, and we will be using it for every week from here until the end of the course. Okay, so here's an example. All right, so just going to zoom out a little bit so you can pause the video, get familiar with it, and resume when you're ready. Okay, so I've taken the liberty of already drafting state, plan, solve, conclude, so I'll just kind of go over what I have. So state, we want to know the 95% confidence interval, and if you take a peek, there's the language of what we want or what we need to do is right here in highlighting, so make sure to do that. Okay, that's the state step. Short, sweet, to the point. Plan, this is where you need a little bit more work. So you need to state the variables, tools, and any assumptions you're making. Okay, so here is what I wrote for the plan step, and I'll just have you pause the video, read it over, resume the video when you're ready to hear the discussion. Okay, so I first started by saying, okay, this is our variable IQ score, which is quantitative discrete. And with that, I guess I don't care so much about discrete or continuous. I really care that it's quantitative because we need a quantitative variable. Okay, then I say we're going to construct a 95% confidence interval for population mean. And then in order to do that, we need x bar, n, and alpha. Okay, and then we are given that alpha is equal to, I don't even know what that says. That should say 15. Why does it say 16? It should be 15. Okay. So 15 in both places. And then we're given that, and then in order to construct a confidence interval, we need to check the following conditions. Are the xi's IID? Yes, it says that we have a simple random sample. Is sigma known and finite? Yep, that's where it's equal to 15. And then do we have a normal population? Yep. IQ scores are given as normal in the prompt. Okay, so all of that is needed in the plan step. Okay, then next I'm going to hop into Excel and do this. There is an accompanying Excel file, so let's open that up and calculate what we need. So here we are in Excel. I just made a little table of what I needed. So to find x bar, we can do equals average, and then highlight the data. Okay, got 105.39. N, I can get the sample size by doing the command count and select the data. Alpha, it was a 95% confidence interval, meaning that my alpha value is 0.05. Sigma is there. And then remember, there's two ways to find our margin of error. We can do confidence.norm and then click on alpha, comma, standard deviation, comma, and sample size. Boom, done. And then you can also find it the other way by doing that norm.inv, and then 1 minus alpha, 0.05, divided by 2, and then comma 0, comma 1. Okay, and then you'd have to multiply this by the standard error, which is sigma divided by square root of n. you get the same thing, which is encouraging. All right, and then lastly, find the confidence interval by doing equals x bar minus our margin of error and x bar plus the margin of error. You can do this by hand too if you don't want to use Excel. So there we go. And we'll take this information and copy it back into our original working space. Oops, and here we go. Okay. Lastly, in the plan step, or in the conclude step, we mainly need to work on that interpretation. I'm also just going to list the first line only because some people read the beginning and the end and they skip over the middle. So make sure to just say, based on the data we found the summary statistics listed above. Okay. And then this is where we provide those in two interpretations. First, the interpretation for the confidence interval that we made. And then second, for the confidence interval in general, that general process. So we are 95% confident the true mean IQ score is in the one we made. And then second, if repeated 100 times and 195% confidence intervals were made, we would expect 95 of them to contain the population mean. Okay, so both of those are needed. And then with that, the 4-step method is completed in a very short period of time. Well, yours is going to take a lot longer to write it all out. Okay, so we'll get lots of practice with this, both in class and in general after.